Chapter 1. The night before I decided to transfer the core patent to my girlfriend, I stumbled upon a secret meeting. I saw her in the small grove of trees behind our building, holding her young assistant's hand, cooing to him in Italian. "Darling, as soon as I trick Sincere into signing over the patent, I'll make you the chief designer. We'll kick him to the curb." I didn't storm over to confront them. I just turned around and went home. When my girlfriend, Victoria, returned, she wrapped her arms around mine and whispered sweetly, "You only have 1 day left. As soon as you transfer the patent to me, we'll get our marriage license the day after tomorrow." But she didn't know that the moment I got home, I had already registered the core patent under my own name, and I had accepted a job offer from her company's biggest competitor. In less than 3 days, she would be facing a patent infringement lawsuit that would land her in prison for a very long time. Chapter 1. Seeing Victoria Ashton, the woman I loved more than anything, hiding in a grove of trees and flirting with another man in Italian, my body went numb. It was as if I'd been plunged into a freezing cellar. In that moment, I wished I didn't understand the language. I didn't rush over to start a fight, nor did I break down and demand answers. I don't even remember how I made it back home. My mind was a blank slate, my heart an empty void. The whole world felt alien. I had quit smoking for 2 years for Victoria's sake, but for the first time since, I picked up a cigarette. I sat on the balcony, chain smoking numbly. I replayed every memory I had with Victoria, every little moment, over and over in my mind. Slowly, my sanity returned. This woman, I was done with her. This fool's game. Let someone else play it. I immediately went to my computer, changed the authorship of the core patent I had promised her to my own name, and submitted it. Just then, the living room door opened. Victoria walked in, humming a cheerful tune, but the next second, her face turned pale with rage. She covered her nose and glared at me, her voice sharp with anger. "Sincere, are you insane? Why are you smoking so much? Haven't I told you not to smoke? The smell gives me a headache. It makes me want to throw up. Did you forget all that?" I didn't bother to clean up the cigarette butts on the floor. I just said flatly, "The patent is proving to be a real headache. I needed something to clear my mind. Is that a problem?" I had picked up smoking in the first place because of the immense pressure of helping Victoria start her business. It was my only way to cope. Later, just because she said she hated the smell, I never touched a cigarette again. But just moments ago, in that grove, I had seen Ethan Reed with a cigarette between his fingers, and Victoria was clinging to him affectionately. That's when I realized she didn't hate the smoke, she hated the man. Hearing that my smoking was because of the patent, Victoria's expression subtly shifted. Her tone softened considerably. "Oh, is the patent work that stressful? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have snapped at you. But if you're tired, you could just have some tea." She spoke as if she had my best interests at heart, opening a window as she continued. "I was a bit harsh just now, don't take it personally. I'm just worried about your health." Seeing this complete 180 in her attitude, I felt a bitter irony. She used to be this gentle with me, but 100 times more sincere. We had fallen for each other at a freshman mixer in college, love at first sight. Her world revolved around me. After graduation, I helped her start her company, pulling all-nighters to develop patents and design products. She would cry, telling me how much it pained her to see me work so hard, and swore she would never let me down. But as the company grew and she hired a young assistant, Ethan Reed, she became increasingly impatient with me. At the time, I thought it was just a phase that long-term couples go through and that things would get better once we were married. So, when she proposed that she would marry me if I transferred the core patent to her, I agreed without hesitation. The moment I finished the patent, I rushed to find her. She'd claimed she was going downstairs to throw out the trash to share the good news. I never expected to walk into that scene in the grove. Now, Victoria placed a glass of water beside me and snuggled up close. She peered curiously at my laptop. "How's the patent coming along? Can you finish it today?" Though she tried to hide it, her eyes betrayed her desperation. I smirked inwardly. I had already switched the screen away from the patent page. I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "You seem to be in a real hurry for my patent. Is there an urgent need?" Victoria's eyes flickered for a moment. She tightened her grip on my arm and rested her head on my shoulder. Blinking her eyes, she said in a playful tone, "It's not the patent I'm anxious for, silly. I just want to marry you sooner." "Aren't you anxious too?" she added, looking up at me with a coy smile. In the past, I would have found this playfully manipulative side of her adorable. Even though she had rejected my many marriage proposals with various excuses, my heart would still fill with hope whenever she used marriage as leverage. After all, we had always known we were meant for each other. A wedding was just a formality. But now, her act just seemed hollow, ugly, and utterly fake. I gave a non-committal nod. I'll finish it as soon as I can. Victoria finally seemed satisfied. She smiled and reached out to pinch my cheek. You're such a good boy. I instinctively turned my head, avoiding her touch. Her hand froze mid-air, a look of surprise on her face. What are you doing? Are my hands dirty? Normally I would have craved her touch, even begged for it. But now, the image of her with Ethan was burned into my mind. Her touch felt tainted. My neck is sore. Victoria stared at me suspiciously, frowning. She was about to say something, but her gaze fell on the patent document on my screen. Her expression changed again, and her voice was cheerful as she said, My darling must be exhausted. You finish up the patent. I'm going to take a shower. I'll give you a shoulder rub tonight. I didn't reply, keeping my eyes fixed on the computer. She didn't seem to mind. She picked up her phone and walked into the bathroom. Less than 2 seconds later, the shower started, and I could faintly hear her talking. I didn't need to hear the words to know who was on the other end of the line. I also knew their conversation was about my patent. But besides a dull numbness, I felt nothing at all. I took my laptop and went into the guest room. I made a call to Victoria's main competitor. I accept your offer. In 3 days, I will join your company. And I'm bringing my latest core patent as my stake. Chapter 2. When Victoria was just starting out, Joyeux Inc. was the top company in our field. Under their pressure, her company stood no chance. It was my patents and my efforts in finding clients that built the company up, step by step, until it could compete with Joyeux on equal footing. During that time, Joyeux Inc. repeatedly tried to poach me. But I loved Victoria. Even when they offered me a salary and stock options tens of times better than what I had, I never wavered. Only today did I realize that the true love I had held on to was nothing but a joke. After the call, I scheduled a meeting with their representative for the next day. Then, I began to organize all the patents I had licensed to Victoria's company over the years. Some had expired years ago, others just recently. This would all be crucial evidence for the price Victoria was about to pay. The next morning, Victoria wasn't home. I took a shower and left. I had arranged to meet Mr. Harrison, the vice president of Joyeux, for lunch at a restaurant. As soon as I walked in, I saw Victoria and Ethan in plain sight, affectionately feeding each other, not even bothered by dipping their forks into the other's sauce bowl. Ethan, dear, you're such a little piggy. Taking you out to eat once a week is never enough. Honestly, you... Sincere? Victoria stopped mid-sentence, her eyes widening in shock as she saw me. A flash of panic crossed her face. She quickly put down her fork and stood up. What are you doing here? Ethan and I were just trying this place out. If it was good, I was planning to bring you here next time. Her smile was forced. She rushed over and pulled out the chair opposite them. Since you're here, why don't you join us? We were just playing around. She subconsciously touched her nose, a telltale sign she was lying. I couldn't be bothered to call her out. No thanks, I'm meeting someone. Enjoy your meal. But Ethan stood up and blocked my path, a smirk on his face. Don't go, brother Sincere. Is the jealous one having a fit again? Are you going to go home and fight with CEO Ashton? Come on, we're all men here, don't be so petty. He patted my shoulder, his eyes filled with provocation. I ignored him and turned to leave, but just then, I heard Victoria's gasp from behind me. Watch out of the corner of my eye, I saw a waiter stumbling, a pot of boiling soup heading straight for me. I dodged quickly, but even through my clothes, a searing pain shot through my arm. In that split second, I saw Victoria rush forward and instinctively pull Ethan, who was next to me, out of the way. Because they were so close, a few drops of hot oil splashed onto Ethan's hand. Before he could even cry out, Victoria's eyes were already red with concern. Ethan, quick, we have to go to the hospital. Only as she was dragging Ethan away did she seem to remember I was there too, and in a state 10 times worse than his. Victoria froze, stammering an explanation. Sincere, are you okay? I was just in such a panic. I meant to pull you away, but I accidentally grabbed Ethan instead. Why don't you come to the hospital with us? I couldn't stand her phony act. I cut her off. Just take Ethan. Victoria glanced at me, about to say something more, but Ethan started groaning in pain. Without another moment of hesitation, she hurried away with him. Before he left, Ethan deliberately mouthed the word loser at me. I paid him no mind. Their time to cry would come soon enough. After getting my arm bandaged at a nearby clinic and changing my clothes, I met with Mr. Harrison from Joyeux. The meeting went very smoothly. I returned home in the evening. The moment I stepped through the door, the apartment was pitch black. Suddenly, a pair of hands covered my eyes. A familiar, cheerful voice shouted, "Surprise, Chapter 3. I fumbled for the light switch and turned it on. Victoria was standing in front of me, beaming, holding a gift box. "Darling, you're finally back. I've been waiting for you for so long. About today. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have left you like that. This is my apology." Victoria opened the box with a mysterious flair. Inside was an exquisite men's watch. I was surprised but not touched. It was just ironic. Victoria hadn't given me a gift in years, not even for my birthday. When I, hurt, had asked her why she didn't treat me like she used to, her answer was, "We're practically an old married couple. Why bother with all those formalities?" But the very next day I would see Ethan deliberately posting in the company group chat, showing off a gift from his girlfriend. The ID on the purchase receipt was Victoria's. I knew this gift wasn't just an apology for abandoning me at the restaurant. She wanted something. Sure enough, the next second, Victoria hugged my arm, her smile radiant. "Honey, is the patent ready? Since it's done, you should give it to me." Seeing the ill-concealed eagerness in her eyes, it finally dawned on me. She couldn't wait any longer and was asking for it directly. Without a word, I took out the patent transfer agreement I had prepared and handed it to her. Victoria's eyes showed a flicker of displeasure when she saw my name on it, but she masked it well, her tone feigning hurt. "Honey, didn't you promise to put my name on it? Are you backing out?" I ignored her pitiful act, leaning back casually on the sofa. "We're about to get married. What's mine is yours, isn't it? I only signed it myself because some of the materials you gave me were inaccurate. It doesn't matter since I'm transferring it to you now anyway. What's the difference?" My explanation was logical enough. Victoria thought for a moment, then broke into a sweet smile. "Oh, is that it, honey? For a second I thought you didn't want to marry me anymore. Let me take a look then." She picked up the transfer agreement and began to read it carefully. I knew perfectly well that the agreement was invalid. The whole point was to keep Victoria complacent. As long as she thought she owned the patent, she would manufacture and sell as many products as possible. The bigger the hole she dug for herself, the more spectacular the final show would be. I raised an eyebrow and looked at her. "You don't trust me?" Victoria looked a little guilty. She rested her head on my shoulder affectionately. "Of course not. I could distrust anyone in the world but never my husband. I'm just taking a quick look." Her words said one thing, but her eyes were glued to the document. Just then her phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, she instinctively glanced at me and stood up, putting some distance between us. "Hello, Ethan." A minute later, Victoria walked back over, her expression a mix of suppressed excitement and urgency. She took my hand, her voice pleading. "Honey, something's come up at the office that I need to handle. I have to go for a bit." Without any more hesitation, she picked up a pen and signed the agreement. She even gave the document a dramatic kiss. Her smile was dazzling. "Thank you for the gift, honey." And with that, she rushed out the door. That night, I started packing my things, planning to move out the next day. I knew Victoria wouldn't be back tonight. She probably wouldn't be back for the next few days. As expected, just as I finished packing, I got a call from her. "Honey, I won't be home for the next couple of days. Things are a little busy at work, so I'll be working overtime. You just take it easy at home for a few days. We're about to get married, and I don't want my dear husband to be so stressed." She was laying on the charm, thick and fake. I knew what this really meant. She had gotten what she wanted and was now starting to sideline me. On the surface, she was giving me a break, but in reality, she was cutting me out of the company's affairs. When the product succeeded, all the credit would go to Ethan. These next few days were perfect for me to finish packing, move out, and keep an eye on how the product, based on my patent, was doing in the market. Just as I predicted, the product was a massive hit. It was selling like crazy, but I wasn't worried. That evening, I was invited to a welcome dinner that Joyeux Inc. was holding for me at a 5-star hotel. As I was walking through the first-floor lobby, I suddenly saw Victoria, whom I hadn't seen in days. She was on a stage holding Ethan's arm. She was announcing loudly to a crowd, "The success of our blockbuster product is all thanks to the patent developed by Ethan Reed. Starting today, Ethan is officially our company's chief product designer." Amid the thunderous applause, Victoria spotted me in the crowd. Her face instantly changed. Chapter 4. Sincere? What are you doing here? I was just... Before Victoria could finish her stammered explanation, Ethan, dressed in a tailored suit, wrapped his arm around her waist. He grinned with wild arrogance. "CEO Ashton, let's just be honest. Tonight is the promotion party CEO Ashton is throwing for me to celebrate the massive success of the patented product I developed. What are you doing here?" Seeing him with his arm around Victoria, the surrounding colleagues immediately started chiming in with sycophantic remarks. "Yeah, Sincere, you weren't invited. What are you doing here? I've never seen someone so shameless either sit at the back table or get the hell out despite our years together." Victoria had never publicly announced our relationship, so the attitude of these colleagues towards me was entirely dependent on her. Victoria made no move to defend me. She just gently patted Ethan's arm, prompting him to let go. She stepped down from the stage and hissed at me in a low voice, "Leave now. I'll explain later when we get home." I shook my head and smiled. "No need. It's all perfectly clear, isn't it? The two of you have been together for a while." Victoria's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "I told you to go home. Why are you making a scene?" Seeing the mocking look in my eyes, Victoria dropped all pretense. Her voice turned cold. "Sincere, the core patented product that Ethan designed for our company is a huge success. That's why he's been promoted to chief designer. And what have you done for this company after all these years of us supporting you? I'm officially informing you now, you're fired. Leave immediately so the mask finally comes off, does it?" I sneered inwardly and raised my voice. "Great, that's exactly what I wanted. But you've misunderstood something. I'm just passing through. The event I'm attending is the welcome dinner upstairs." Victoria's expression flickered, then she scoffed dismissively. "A welcome dinner? I think you've gone mad with anger." She lowered her voice again, trying to sound reasonable. "I'll say this one last time. If you leave right now, our wedding is still on the table." Before she could finish, two men wearing Joyu Inc. badges walked up to me. They spoke respectfully. "Mr. Clark, your welcome dinner is upstairs. Everyone is waiting for you." "Welcome dinner? What's going on?" Victoria demanded, her face a mask of shock. One of the men raised an eyebrow and smiled smugly at her. "Haven't you heard, CEO Ashton? Mr. Clark has officially joined us at Joyu." "What?" Victoria was stunned. Before she could process it, two uniformed officers walked over to her. They addressed her coldly. "Victoria Ashton, we have received a report from your company's former employee, Sincere Clark, alleging massive patent infringement by your company, involving a substantial amount of money. Please come with us to assist in the investigation." The color drained from Victoria's face. She stared at me in utter disbelief. Chapter 5. I met her gaze calmly, my expression unchanging. It took several seconds for Victoria to process what was happening. Her voice trembled with disbelief. "Sincere, you did this?" I raised an eyebrow, not denying it. Suddenly, her expression turned frantic, as if she'd been dealt an unbearable blow. She shrieked, "Why? How could you report me?" When I didn't answer, she turned to the officers, desperately trying to explain. "Those patents belong to our company. How can it be infringement? Sincere is a former employee. His patents were all licensed to us. Don't let him fool you. He's just jealous that I promoted and gave a raise to another employee, so he's lashing out in anger." I couldn't help but interrupt. "Excuse me, just to clarify. My patent licensing agreements with your company expired a long time ago. I've already submitted all the relevant evidence." Victoria looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. The memory seemed to flood back to her. Back when I was working tirelessly on the patents, she still loved me. She would rest her head on my shoulder and say, "The patents are yours. You can just license them to me. My company is your company anyway. It's not like you're ever going to stop me from using them." Back then, I never imagined a day like this would come. Later, when some of the patents expired, Victoria couldn't be bothered with the paperwork. She knew I would never sue her. But that's exactly what I did. A new thought struck her, and she stared at me, her voice sharp. "That transfer agreement is invalid," I said, my voice cruel and calm. The color drained from Victoria's face and from the faces of every colleague in the room. If they didn't have the patent rights, but had already produced and sold so many products, the company would be completely wiped out. Victoria's face was flushed with rage, her eyes burning with hatred. Sincere, all I did was promote Ethan. Did you really need to retaliate like this? She screamed, completely losing her composure. She lunged at me, but the officers intercepted her. Tears of fury streamed down her face as she gasped for air. Sincere, you've disappointed me so much you stabbed me in the back after all our years together. You stabbed me in the back. She couldn't accept it. After all, for years I had revolved around her, obeyed her every command, been so thoroughly tamed. How could I suddenly turn and bite her? But only I knew that when the love I had treated as my faith crumbled, nothing else mattered anymore. I watched her descent into madness with cold detachment. My gaze flickered to Ethan, who stood by, not even daring to step forward. I let out a cold laugh. Victoria, why bother pretending to be so heartbroken? The moment you were sneaking around in that grove with Ethan, you should have known that one day I would give up on you too. Panic and shame filled Victoria's eyes. I enunciated each word clearly. I am not a fool, and I won't let anyone treat me like one. Chapter 6. With a dismissive wave of my hand, I was done. The officers once again asked Victoria to come with them for questioning. This time she complied. As she was led away, her gaze was a complex mixture of emotions: disappointment, disbelief, hatred, confusion, and was there a hint of regret? I shook my head, unwilling to dwell on it. With Victoria gone, the promotion party came to an abrupt and disastrous end. The room descended into chaos as everyone started discussing what would happen next. If my lawsuit was real, the company was in serious trouble. Ethan, what do we do now? Yeah, Ethan, CEO Ashton made you the chief designer, the patents for our products. People started bombarding Ethan with questions. He exploded in frustration. You're asking me? Who am I supposed to ask? Get lost, all of you. He shoved them away and strode over to block my path. Sincere, he said, his voice laced with venom. Are you really going to destroy the company? Do you really not care about Victoria at all anymore? I smiled faintly. Victoria is your woman now. Your concern should be enough. Ethan was taken aback, sputtering with rage. You were together for 8 years. Are you just going to stand by and watch the company go bankrupt? Are you that desperate for money? I found it amusing. Yes, I am. Ethan had tried to use moral blackmail, only to find that I had no morals left to appeal to. His anger had nowhere to go, but I knew Ethan was far from a devoted partner. Soon after he joined the company, I had overheard him smoking with some colleagues. He boasted that at his peak, he had dated 8 girlfriends at once, and every single one of them gave him money. He took pride in conquering women. To him, Victoria was just a high-quality prize. He had constantly, and not so subtly, flirted with her, charming his way into her good graces. I had even warned Victoria, suggesting she fire him. He was incompetent at his job, but a master of slacking off and brown-nosing. But Victoria had just said, "You're just jealous of a younger guy. Ethan has potential." You're always so possessive after that. Her favoritism became more and more blatant, until they were carrying on behind my back and I was pushed out completely. I ignored Ethan and followed the men from Joyeux upstairs to my welcome dinner. After the party, I remembered it was my mother's birthday, so I bought a gift and went to her house. When I arrived, my mom kept looking behind me. "Where's Vicky? Didn't she come with you?" she asked, puzzled. I had introduced Victoria to my parents in our second year together. She was sweet and charming, and my mother adored her, always asking me to bring her over. But as our relationship started to crack, she hadn't visited in years, only offering greetings over the phone. We broke up. The groceries in my mother's hands fell to the floor. She stood there stunned for a few seconds before asking, "What happened? You two have been together for so long. Couldn't you talk things through? Who initiated it?" Chapter 7. My mother had always been anxious for me to get married. Now that I was single again, she was starting to panic. I didn't want to tell her the truth about Victoria, so I just said we grew apart and refused to elaborate, seeing that I was serious. My mother let out a long sigh and didn't press the issue. At lunchtime, my mom invited our neighbor, Mrs. Davis, to join us. Her daughter, Sophia, who had been studying abroad, was back. The moment she walked in, she greeted me with a bright smile. "Brother Sincere, long time no see." I then remembered the little girl who used to follow me around everywhere, the one I called Little Bean Sprout. She had grown into a beautiful young woman. I smiled and nodded. "Sophie." Sophia smiled back, and we spent some time reminiscing about our childhood. We also exchanged numbers. During my time with Victoria, I hadn't added any other women to my contacts in years. She had insisted on it. Now I didn't care about such rules anymore. After I left my mom's house, I received a call from my lawyer. Mr. Clark, Victoria Ashton's side is interested in a settlement. Given the number of patents involved, I recommend a settlement amount of $10 million. Honestly, our case is very strong. If they don't agree to settle, and this goes to trial, the judgment will likely be for much more. She could even face jail time. I nodded. I'll leave it in your hands. Whatever Victoria chose, she was going to pay a heavy price for her betrayal. On my way home, a figure suddenly dashed out and blocked my car. Sincere, I looked up and saw Victoria standing by my window, staring at me intently. I pulled over. What is it? If it's about the settlement amount, you can talk to my lawyer. Her eyes were filled with a sorrowful expression, as if I had broken her heart. Her voice was hoarse. Sincere, you've disappointed me so much. So this is what our years together are worth to you, $10 million. Back at the hotel, I told you I was serious about marrying you. Ethan was just a distraction. I never intended for him to replace you. But you... I cut her off. That's enough, Victoria. Even if you were willing, I'm not interested in competing for your affection. Victoria bit her lip, a look of pain and humiliation crossing her face. $10 million. I want to pay in installments. Tell your lawyer. I suddenly laughed. I couldn't understand how she could so brazenly make demands of me. I don't accept. Either you pay the full amount, go to court, or go to jail. It's your choice. Victoria hadn't expected me to be so firm and direct. Her face flushed with anger. Sincere, are you really trying to ruin me? I didn't answer. I just stepped on the gas and drove away. That evening, Sophia texted and asked me out to dinner. My mom had mentioned that Sophia was just starting her career back home and that I should help her out if I could, so I agreed. We met at a restaurant. While I was waiting for her, I heard two familiar voices from a table up ahead. It sounded like Victoria and Ethan. Ethan, dear, Sincere won't budge. To pay this settlement, I'll have to dissolve the company. But don't worry, I'll make a comeback soon. I'm sorry you have to go through this. I glanced over. At a table across the corridor, it was indeed Victoria and Ethan. A flicker of impatience crossed Ethan's face, but he managed to sound understanding. It's okay, Boss Lady V. I'm here with you. Despite his words, his eyes were constantly darting to his phone. Victoria, completely oblivious, said gently, Ethan, you should move in with me tonight. Sincere has moved out. We can finally be together, openly. Ethan gave her a surprised look, his eyes scanning her body. He smirked. Okay. Just then, Sophia arrived. She noticed me looking towards their table and glanced over curiously. Brother Sincere, you know Ethan Reed? She asked suddenly. Chapter 8. I looked at her, confused. You know him too? Sophia poured some water as she answered casually. He came in for an interview at my company this morning. The hiring manager wants to see a few more candidates, though. Hearing this, I couldn't help but feel a sense of irony. If Victoria knew that the man she loved so deeply was already looking for his next meal ticket behind her back, she would probably explode. I was curious, but Sophia quickly recaptured my attention. The young woman was cheerful and outgoing, sharing stories about her time abroad. She even begged me to take her on a trip to the countryside on my day off. I initially wanted to decline, but her enthusiasm was infectious, and I found myself agreeing. Brother Sincere, I really enjoy talking to you, Sophia said suddenly, her bright eyes fixed on me. I felt a little uneasy, though I couldn't quite put my finger on why. It couldn't be what I was thinking, could it? There was a 9-year age gap between us. I shook my head, trying to push the thought away. Even though I was done with Victoria, I was in no hurry to start a new relationship. Love, or whatever it was, always seemed to fade with time. I was certain that Victoria had loved me once, even now. But what good did that do? The outcome was still the same. In the following days, I threw myself into my new job. Sophia often chatted with me, sometimes even traveling a long way to have lunch with me. Many of my new colleagues teased me. Hey, Sincere, you've got a beautiful young girlfriend, nice work. I got tired of explaining, so I just let them talk. A week later, I was having dinner at my mom's house when Victoria suddenly showed up. She held out a bank card to me. I sold the company. Here's your $10 million, Sincere. I hope you're satisfied. My mom came over when she heard the voices. Vicky, you're here, come in, have a seat. Victoria let out a cold, cynical laugh. Auntie, I don't think I dare. You've raised such a good son. The moment he found someone new, he decided to completely destroy his old flame. How could I possibly sit down? I'm just here to pay my debt. My mom looked at me, stunned. What's going on? Vicky, did Sincere do something to you? You can tell me, I scoffed internally. Victoria was a master at turning the tables. In front of my mother, I wasn't about to take the blame for this. Victoria, I don't want to be the one to say who was seeing other people behind my back. The money is what I'm owed. If you had any legal sense, you'd understand that. But for old time's sake, let me give you a piece of friendly advice. That little lamb by your side, he might just be a wolf in sheep's clothing. I had said enough. Victoria just muttered lunatic and left. I shrugged. The compensation was paid. From now on, we would go our separate ways. That night, as I was scrolling through my phone before bed, I came across a short video. It was posted by Victoria. In the video, she burst into her home to find Ethan in her master bedroom with another woman. The clip was filled with screams, curses, and roars. Chapter 9. The story pieced together was that after leaving my mother's house, Victoria had gone home only to find Ethan had brazenly brought another woman into their bed, the bed that had once been ours, and then theirs for a sordid affair. Ethan dropped all pretense, shouting at her defiantly. So what if you saw us? You're bankrupt now. You're not the boss lady anymore. You think you can still control me? I'll do whatever I want with whomever I want. Who do you think you are? Some kind of saint? All it took was a little wink from me and you came running. It's no wonder Sincere treated you the way he did. The video cut off there. That night, I saw many former colleagues discussing the scandal in our old group chat. The ugly affair was all over the place. I thought that would be the end of Victoria and Ethan, but I underestimated his manipulative skills. One day, I was accompanying Sophia to the hospital for a checkup when I ran into Ethan and Victoria. They were coming out of the prenatal clinic. I noticed distinct bruises on the corner of Victoria's mouth and under her eye. When Victoria saw me, she looked startled. Then her eyes met Sophia's, and they instantly welled up with tears. She said nothing as we passed each other. I overheard Ethan saying, "Don't worry, I promise I'll change. I'll only love you from now on. I'll never touch another woman, and I'll never lay a hand on you again." I felt terrible about yesterday. He was laying on the false sincerity. I couldn't see Victoria's expression, but I had a gut feeling that Ethan was up to something. Sure enough, a month later I was meeting with a client when I heard the sound of things crashing from a private room nearby. A moment later, Victoria stumbled out, covered in blood. Ethan's furious voice followed her. "Victoria, all I asked was for you to spend one night with the client. Do you have to be so dramatic? You classless piece of trash." He kicked her aside and stormed off. No one else dared to help Victoria. Despite everything, I couldn't just leave her there. I took her to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor told me she had miscarried. Seeing her numerous injuries, they thought I was an abusive partner and nearly had me arrested. It took a lot of explaining from Victoria to clear things up. When we were finally alone in the room, Victoria's voice was hoarse. "Sincere, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I didn't listen to your warning. I made one mistake after another. Ethan is a bastard. He tried to sell me. He said he was only ever after my money and my body." As she spoke, tears streamed down her face like a broken dam. How could I have been so stupid? To throw you away for him. I regret it so much. So much, she cried for a long time before her sobs subsided into broken gasps. Victoria looked at me with tear-filled eyes. The eyes I once knew so well now seemed distant and unfamiliar. "Sincere, do I still have a chance? Please, give me one more chance." I shook my head. I couldn't describe the feeling in my heart. We drove back in silence. I only promised to help her get Ethan out of her house. The house, after all, was a gift from her late parents, who had always been kind to me and treated me like a son-in-law. I didn't want to see Victoria truly homeless, but when we arrived, Ethan was already gone. All his things were gone. Victoria ran frantically into the bedroom. After a long search, she collapsed to the floor in despair. "It's gone. Everything is gone." Chapter 10. It turned out that Ethan had taken every last cent of her remaining assets and disappeared. She was now, truly, left with nothing. She called the police and tried to find Ethan, only to learn that he was deeply in debt and had vanished without a trace. In that moment, Victoria finally broke. She alternated between crying and laughing uncontrollably. Why? Why is this happening to me? I have nothing left. Nothing. Sincere doesn't want me anymore. Sincere. Her mind fractured. She would grab any man she saw and call my name, but when I stood right in front of her, she couldn't recognize me. In the end, she was taken to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. I paid for the expenses. I felt a heavy sense of sorrow and disillusionment. A year later, Victoria's condition had not improved. Ethan, however, was found. He was a wreck, his legs were crippled, and his face was disfigured by severe burns. Rumor had it that his creditors had gotten their revenge. Others said it was women he had wronged. 2 weeks after he was imprisoned, he died suddenly from a severe illness. Eventually, Sophia and I naturally found our way together. I still lacked confidence in the future, but Sophia told me something that stuck with me. Living well in the present is enough. The end.